Here's why. 92% of people fail on their goals.
Yep.
But let's look at the timeline of that, okay? Because you're like, well, yeah, Matt, that's probably over a year.
No. Break it down.
Watch this. First week, okay? By the second Friday in January, 80% of people have given up. If you'll make it 2 weeks, 14 freaking days, okay? 14 days, you'll beat 80% of everybody else. You don't need a DDS, a DR, a master's degree, or a huge loan or money. Just make it 14 days.
Hey everyone, welcome to Crossroad Conversations with the Lewis brothers, where we aim to share real stories about running a successful family business while working through adversity and pouring back into our community that keeps our doors open every single day. We're your hosts, Shelby, Matt, and Taylor, and we'll be bringing you real, relevant local business advice, maybe some automotive insights that are sure to change the way you look at running a business or buying a car, and maybe even throw on a plug for you to do business with us here locally. Welcome back, episode 68, Crossroad Conversations with the Lewis brothers. We're your hosts.
Happy New Year!
Matt, Shelby, and Taylor,
Starting
bringing you all the
the
energy.
new year.
Starting the new year off. Happy New Year already happened. I hope you're ready.
2026 is going to be
A
good.
lot of things launching, energy level high. We're talking setting the stage for a big year.
Yep.
Goals, growth, 80 years of Lewis Automotive.
Hey, we age pretty good.
We're not 80. Combined,
Oh,
we're over 80.
thought it was all the supplements I was taking.
It's when you say
They're helping
combined
you.
knowledge.
We're
With
helping
Uncle
you.
Crumple and Dad and yes.
New year,
Dad.
fresh
Yes,
start,
all that.
January 1st, energy, big goals versus real progress, 80 years in the business, not an accident,
We're gonna
by
have a party
design.
all year long.
We are going to party like it's 1962 or whatever that song
46.
says.
46.
Yeah, but the song
Oh,
says
I get you.
1962.
Yeah.
So a lot of good stuff to go over there. Hey, recapping real quick of last week, the leadership.
Last year?
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
So episode 67
Mm-hmm.
of the last week of last year that we went over, leadership blind spot happens really fast and will happen when you least expect it. So go back, check that out. Talks about how whenever business is up, sometimes you're not really controlling areas you need to. And then on the flip side, whenever business goes down, you're controlling the areas you really don't need to. So dive into that. That was a lot of fun talking about. Always check us out at lewissuperstore.com for the freshest trade specials, everything we've got going on company-wise, and crossroadsconversationpodcast.com for everything we've got going on here. We're at episode 68, so 68 plus hours of relevant business information.
Man, I love it. What's in the garage today? We are talking Mach-E.
I love that car.
Mach-E. Now, I love the Mach-E because of the performance, the versatility, obviously the gas savings. We see most people save $300 to $400 a month on gas.
Yes.
Here's what I love about the Mach-E GT. Because when you look at Mach, that comes from the Mach 1
Yep.
of the Mustangs, which was performance,
Ooh.
okay?
Mhm.
Big time. But we take it new age, new technology, and heck of specs on performance. 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. 3.8 seconds. And here's what I like about the 0 to 60 in this vehicle here. It's all-wheel drive, so it does it anywhere, anytime, all the time.
Launch.
In addition to that, because if you're a performance nut like I am, it's like, what else can I tweak? What else can I get out of it? I love that Ford Performance has then come out with going, hey, we'll offer you an upgraded flash that will still back with all the warranty on it. I love that the manufacturers are getting behind the aftermarket here. It will unlock the potential and get this thing down to 3.3 seconds and a quarter mile of 11.8. That's fast.
A tune that is electronic that equals more power.
Instant.
Mach-E is so controversial in everyone's different eyes because it's Mustang, and the true purist, and I'm talking a percentage, they're like, oh, Mustang, why'd you do that? It's like, well, because Ford knew they had the name of Mustang and they could get a following. It's not a replacement, it's an addition to.
It's a new age addition too. And I'll tell you, just kind of icing on the cake, here's how you got to look at it. And I talk to a lot of people about this. And especially in Arkansas, you're not used to hearing this word, but the word's lease.
Yep.
I tell people, I'm like, just lease it for 2 years.
Mhm.
The lease rate on these things is ridiculously low. We have Mach-E starting, what was it, $299, $399
Yeah,
a month.
$15,000 off last year.
So in 2 years, if you don't like it, just walk away.
Yeah.
Have fun with it for a couple years.
Absolutely.
And it really didn't cost you anything. Because as long as it's under $400 a month, you would have spent that on fuel anyways. So you're driving it for free. Make it your weekend and fun car.
Yeah,
So really cool ride there on the Mach-E. We fully embrace both the internal combustion engine, the plug-in hybrids, and the full electrics here at Lewis Automotive. So we've
yep.
got something that fits everybody.
Whatever the people want, we
We
embrace.
got it.
All right, diving into this thing, setting goals that actually last.
What do you
Like,
mean?
So I'm going to break this down. The first thing I want to talk about, what's the difference between resolutions and real goals? And I'll get your guys' take, but I want to set it up a little bit.
All right.
The difference between resolutions and goals. People
Mhm.
say New Year's resolutions,
Mm-hmm.
and people say, hey, what's your goal for this year? Generally, I think they're kind of saying the same thing. It's
Yeah.
just like what's on the top of their mind. So let me break this down in simple Prairie Grove basic terms.
Okay.
I'm talking about our thinking. Goals are specific outcomes you intentionally are working towards.
Mm-hmm.
Think of goals as a destination with a map,
Okay.
where I want to go and how to get there. Resolutions are broad declarations of intent or identity,
Mm. Mm.
or a promise without a plan.
Oh, that's good.
So that's kind of to get the conversation started. What's your guys' thoughts and feelings, whether you're talking business, lifestyle, of goals or resolutions?
First, I just want to say before we get into the stats and the facts, is that goals are extremely necessary. As human beings, we're wired to be challenged.
Mhm.
We're wired to get out of our comfort zone, whether you want to admit to it or not. It's healthy for us. It challenges our brain, it challenges muscles, it challenges our body, all the rest of it. And if you don't challenge it, it's the use it or lose it. And that's everything in your body.
Yep.
So we're wired to have goals.
Mhm.
There's just a correct way to do it, and then the other way that most of the people do it that don't follow through with it.
It is so important that you have that goal with a game plan of how to get there.
So
And
important.
throughout the 12 months, if you're setting a year goal, or if
Mhm.
you need to reduce that down to a monthly goal, then to a weekly goal, to a daily goal, and then an actionable hourly goal, right? And you're
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
what in the world? Are you scripted? No, I want to help you be successful, and then make small adjustments so you stay after it. But think about in anything that you've set a goal for, whether you've completed that goal
Mhm.
or you failed at that goal, at some point in time, your mind, when it becomes difficult and it's not easy, if you do not have, they say goals that are not written down are just wishes. So
Sure.
you say, hey, my goal is to do X,
Yep.
right? If it's not written down and someone's not holding you accountable, you will negotiate.
Let me tell you something else as we dive in. As much as I want to get straight into the stats here, I need to convince you a little bit on why you should have a goal. And here's why. A goal gives you an opportunity to pass those that may have more resources than you,
Mhm.
to
Mm.
pass those that may be smarter than
Yep.
you.
That has someone who has more talent
Yes.
but does not have the goal or the drive.
And here's why, and I'll prove it. So there's others out there that might have doctorate degrees or master's degrees
Mhm.
or 40 years of experience. And you're like, how am I ever going to compete with that?
Hard work.
How am I going to do that? There's other people that have a endless well of money that they can use for investment and capital. How am I going to beat them?
Yeah.
I've got $1,000 in the bank. You know what I mean? How am I going to do that? Here's how.
Yep.
Here's how. 92% of people fail on their goals.
So no matter their talent, their ability, their degree, their money, 92% of them will fail,
Will
even though
fail.
they had the upper hand.
It has, and it says nothing to do. The 92% that fail, and we'll unpack this here in a little bit, but the 92% that failed, it had nothing to do with resources. It had nothing to do with their IQ, their financial backing, or anything else. You can beat 92, turn this up, 92% of everybody else by
That's
following through with your goal.
It's because people love comfort. And the
yes.
comfort is what I had wasn't so bad. What I was doing wasn't so bad. So if your goal's not written down,
Yeah.
you will quickly slide backwards. Think about this. Put this in physical activity. We're talking new year, new goals, new
Yep.
me, right?
Okay.
And so and this is just me, someone might resonate, might maybe not. I can generally stay motivated to run 3 to 4 times a week
Sure.
and run 3 to 5 miles and comfortably be fine with that, right?
Mhm.
But if I have to keep continuing to push my threshold, whether it's a specific style workout that's hill repeats or a speed workout or a 10, 12, 15, 18-mile run, you're going to get past the threshold of this is easy,
Yeah.
right? And so then generally, goal-driven people, you have to have something on the map, something on the calendar that says this year I want to do this. I want to
Mhm.
do this in sales. So it would be this year on April
Yep.
2nd, whatever, I want to run this marathon. And
Yep.
you know that you have to complete this in order to do that. Because here's what'll happen when it gets tough,
Yeah.
when it gets so hard, you have to have that goal written down. Because realize this is a David Goggins, and I don't know that he's the originator, but he's the one that made it famous, that when you feel like you cannot go another step,
Yep.
when you cannot push any more and you are wiped, I'm not like first strain, I'm talking like feel like a leg's broken,
Mhm.
you are only at 40% of your potential.
Okay, so let's unpack a little bit there of what Shelby first went into. So if you don't want to fall into the 92% of people that failed, you first are going to have to write your goal down.
God,
Yeah.
that's the key. I was waiting for you to say that.
Write
Write the goal down.
You have to write it down at whatever point. And,
Yes.
and you guys have heard us talk about this before, but I tell people you got to write it down somewhere you're going to see it.
Yes.
You don't write it down and throw it in the
It's
trash.
on your lock screen, it's on your computer screen, it's on your fridge, it's on
staring
your
at.
rearview mirror.
And we tell people this, and there's points we're going to slow down here because we don't need people to miss this because these are key points to get you past that 92%.
Yep.
I tell people, put it on the lock screen of your camera. So if your goal is to take your family to Disney World, get a picture of your family, let AI superimpose it in front of Cinderella's castle, and put it on your background.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If you use your visor in your car, put it on the back side of that so every time you flip it down, or on the mirror at home so every time you brush your teeth.
Yeah.
Somewhere where it's staring in your face, you know, your daughter and your son smiling at you, and you're like, dang, I don't feel like it, but I cannot
What I'm
let my
doing.
family down.
Yep.
Now, if your goal is to take I'm going to switch out of running for a second.
Okay.
If your goal is to take your family to Disney World, you're going to write that down. Hey,
That's
I want to do that by July this year.
Uh-huh.
July 22nd, we're going.
It's going to cost you a small fortune.
It's going to cost you a bunch. What's the next thing you're probably going to do to get everybody excited about it? People are going to talk about it, and you're going to tell
You're
somebody.
going
aren't
to
you?
tell generally your family,
Your
which is
family.
dangerous, right?
You
That
talk
you're
about
signing up
accountability.
for the race, right?
Yep.
You paid the money, you're telling your family, and then you're telling your people around you.
So if you tell your family, if under the Christmas tree this year, in their stocking, let's go old school with dad here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the stocking, it's going to say, hey, July 22nd, pack your bags. We're going to Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
You've written it down. You've now, the second step, you've
Yeah.
told somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So like what Shelby was talking about with running, you now have accountability,
Important, but dangerous.
Yeah.
both
Right.
of them.
Yes.
So you're going to do everything you can to make it July 22nd, you're going to Disney
Oh
World.
yeah. Absolutely. And it's so important. Y'all already went into, but who you tell is so important because you need a little bit of that pressure. If I tell my buddy at work or whoever it is, it's not going to hold me highly accountable. Whenever you fail, he's not going to care. He's going to say, "Oh man, it's
Kind of got to be
okay.
mindful
Stuff's
of the accountability
expensive.
partner.
We can't do it."
And where they are. So if you're on it's January 1st. We got to talk about weight loss and
Yeah,
fitness too.
sure.
Okay. If you're on a weight loss journey, your accountability partner is not going to be somebody that weighs 200 pounds more than you. You know what I mean? Unless they're on a weight loss journey with you. But if they're not,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, oh, yeah, that's great. As soon as you fail, they're going to be like, dude,
It's
don't worry
okay.
about it. Just enjoy life.
Yeah. Eat the food.
Eat the food. It's not
Don't do
that
it.
big a deal.
Yeah, it needs to be somewhere who has been or still is at where you were trying to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
That I'm talking business, I'm talking goals,
Yeah.
we're talking taking resolutions and making them real. You need to tell someone who's an accountability partner who has been or is at where you want to go.
So in our business, for example, if we're looking to expand locations,
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
You know.
We need to be around people that own more locations than we do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
to just be asking somebody that owns a single location, they're going to have things like, man, that's not for everybody. Keep one. Then you know everything that's going on. They're not going to lead you and push you to get there.
Yeah. If we set a goal to say, hey, in 2026, we want to sell 5,500 new and used cars,
Okay.
Yep.
right? If we just said that, I pulled that off the wall. But if you told and held accountable to people, whether it was in your 20 group
Mm-hmm.
or other levels, that is currently selling 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, they might like rah you on, but when it gets tough, they're not going to have the specific advice or to say it is possible because they haven't been there.
All right, so 2 things so far, and if you're like, "Dang, I wasn't really listening to the first part of this podcast,
Just
but this is
rewind
what
it.
I needed to hear."
Mhm.
Rewind it, I'll recap. Number 1, you gotta write it down. Number 2,
Mhm.
you gotta tell somebody, and it's gotta be the right person.
Yep.
That's why people hire, personal fitness trainers.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because 'Cause they're gonna call them out. They're gonna push them past where
Yep.
they need to go. Here's why: 92% of people fail in their goals.
Yep.
But let's look at the timeline of that, okay? Because you're like, "Well, yeah, Matt, that's probably over a
No, no,
year."
no. Break it down.
Watch this. First week, okay? By the second Friday in January, 80% of people have given up. If you'll make it 2 weeks, 14 freaking days, okay? 14 days, you'll beat 80% of everybody else. You don't need a DDS, a DR, a master's degree, or a huge loan or money. Just make it 14 days.
Just grit it. Just
Only
grit it.
2 weeks out of the 52 weeks in a year.
That's why. That's why we've learned to challenge and next challenge and next challenge to go for a longer distance. Marathon was cool. It's super tough. High respect for it. But
Mhm.
what's next? Okay, 50K. Okay, 50 mile. Okay, 100 mile. Okay, 100-mile mountain. It's like, okay, there's some people that are more gifted than I am, right? There's some people that are more talented than I am. But if we can get in this long game,
I know.
oh, I can win at that. If we can
Because they're
set it.
mentally weak.
Oh, everyone is, right?
I know.
Majority of people.
Yes.
But you can just lock in and just go to a dark
Bury
place
their soul.
and just really succeed. So that's the captain behind your ship, right?
I got in race mode
So-
there, sorry.
Right,
Yeah.
sorry.
I love it.
Thinking this, vague goals fail.
Uh-huh.
They do.
Let me be very clear. Vague goals fail. So, hey, I want to be better. I want to do more. That's vague. That's cool. That's something for your Instagram. It's not going to work. Why more money or better year isn't a plan? Hey, what do you
It's
want to
not
do this year?
intentional.
Because that is just a loose, lofty idea
It's a
without
wish.
structure.
Yeah.
Without structure.
Because we have to be honest, whatever you're setting your goal is gonna burn, and it's gonna be hard, and it's gonna be the Disney trip, it's gonna be paying off debt, it's gonna be going without. So
That's the thing.
Yeah.
So generally, let's say that I'm making stuff up here, but generally, let's say you've set up for a budget of vacation for a family of 5 to do whatever you do,
Okay.
that you're going to spend $4,000 to $5,000.
Yeah.
But you decided this year that everyone's been asking you want to go to Disney, you want to go on a cruise, something that's above that, right?
It's double.
And if your income is not a changing income, you're on a salary, let's just say that.
Yep.
So if you don't have the Amazon side hustle or whatever, and you're just a fixed income, which is a majority of people, you're going to have to change something if the next vacation you want to go on that you've promised your family is going to be $8,000 to $10,000. Totally just making numbers up here. But if it's more, it's going to be more. So you are going to have to cut back. If you want to lose weight, you're going to have to cut back on your intake.
Mhm.
You're going to have to be hyper focused. And that's one of those things like, what can you do every day? Do you go by Seven Brew? Do you go by Starbucks? Do you smoke? Do you stop by the gas station? Do you eat at Hardee's every day?
Yep.
And we're talking weight loss and expense control
Sure.
here. Those little things add up immensely
Yeah.
Yep.
to then equal. You're not in debt when it comes time for your vacation. You've got the cash saved up
Yep.
for it. And then I can promise you
You'll
this,
have so much.
that you're going to have so much more fun
Oh, yeah.
on race day if you're prepared for it, on vacation if you're prepared for the money you're going to spend. Because otherwise, you're going to sit in the corner thinking, I am in debt up to my eyeballs.
So there's an important part that Shelby went over there that I want to make sure everybody doesn't miss. Because can I tell you, there's a decent amount of people that goes, okay, I got to save that X amount to be able to go to Disney World. How are we going to save it? And they sit down and here's what they look at. Well, can we reduce our rent or our monthly mortgage? Can we reduce our car payment?
No.
And they look at these big amounts. That's not where it's hidden. It's 100 cuts of the Starbucks or go Great Value brand
Oh,
when
I
you're
love great value.
grocery shopping, not the top brand.
Oh.
Like, there are all these small things, and then they add up over 7 months. Over 7 months. And we've already talked about some of the quotes, but I gotta tell you about a couple more that we'll keep sprinkling in during this
Okay.
episode. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
You don't have to be great to start,
Correct?
but you have to start to be great.
That's so
Put
good.
that on a hat.
All right, let's go back to our timeline. We know that after 2 weeks, 80% of people have given up.
Yep.
See, you're in the top 20% if you make it to the second week in January.
Mhm.
If you make it to the end of January,
Yep.
88% of people have given up. So if 1 month in you can just stick with it, you're in the top 12%. Listen to that. I don't care if you have a college degree or not. I don't care if you graduated high school or not. I don't care if you don't have a penny to your name right now. If you'll just set your goal and your action plan and tell somebody about it to keep you accountable and make it through the first month, you'll be in the top 12% this year.
That's
Let that sink in. That's so good.
yeah. That's so good.
So, thinking about that, what a real goal looks like, right? It can be super basic and simple. Hey, this year I want to walk 10,000 steps a day. Hey,
Okay.
this year I want to take my family on a vacation and not be in debt.
Okay.
Hey, this year I want to eat more healthy. Hey, this year I want to have micro trips with my family where we go camping more. Right?
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be something you spend money on. It just has to be intentional, right?
Mhm.
And so you break those down, you write them down, you share them with people, you put them on lock screens. But then you have to figure out how to break that up into a daily obtainable action,
Okay.
right? You tell the people you've written it down, and then daily, what does that look like? Well, daily 10,000 steps. You
Mhm.
got to reduce it anymore. Are you going to do that before work, during
Mm-mm.
work, or after work? And if you haven't done it, then it's going to take a little bit of sample and figuring out what works. I would highly recommend you do it before, and then
Sure.
you'll ice it the
Mhm.
rest of the day. Then you'll move your goal up to 15,000 or
Yeah.
18,000 and look at all the changes that'll happen from that. But you have to break that up into smaller wins. And then that is going to be, hey, by March, I want to be able to complete this, or I need to be X far along in my goal of this amount
Mhm.
saved up, or this many units sold, or if you're in real estate saying, hey, I want to be X amount dollars passed, or
Mhm.
whatever it is in business. And let, let me help you if you are not a super creative or not a dreamer or a goal setting person. If you're just a block and tackle basic person, skip Google. Google's great, right?
Yeah.
Go to ChatGPT, free version. You get 200 words a day or something
Mhm.
for a free version. If you need more, just sign up with somebody else's email address and your family, right? You get some more. But say, hey, and you can talk to it, right? Have a conversation and say, hey, chat, need your help. 2026 is going to be a big year for me. I'm talking business and I'm talking personal. Here's what I do. It's going to have to learn you to be real
It is.
and say, hey, here's what I do. I'm a plumber, this, and this. I have 5 employees. Help me. And you have to very specifically say, think like a 25-year master plumber slash very exponentially growing business. You have to tell it how to think. Otherwise,
Mhm.
it'll give you vague, basic answers. Help me set my goals for 2026. My current revenue is this. My current employees are this, right? That's business and personal. Hey, I can't walk more than 6,000 steps a day. Help me with this. Help me break this down into a month goal. And
Yep.
it'll give you its first answer. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, right? If you haven't
Mhm.
used it and say, okay, perfect. Help me break that into a daily. And then if you're like, and some people out there that make a living off of this, the personal trainers. Now, the difference between a personal trainer and ChatGPT is they're going to show up every day because you paid them for it, and they're
Sure.
going to be like, "Show me your MyFitnessPal."
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't log your triple quarter pounder there, right?
Mhm.
But ChatGPT will help you kind of start that game plan of what it needs to look like on a daily action plan.
All right, pro tip for you. Pro tip. Once you start working on your daily action plan. Here's where I've seen a lot of people fail, is they make their daily action plan in accordance to the perfect day.
Mhm.
And how many perfect days did you have last year? I mean, when everything went perfect, you were on top of your game, nothing was behind schedule, no problems came up, no wrenches were thrown in it.
Not many.
5,
Maybe.
6? I mean, like, we're not talking that many. And so then people plan this daily activity list based upon their perfect day. They're setting themselves up for failure.
Yep.
I flipped the role on that. I said, whatever you're trying to accomplish, your goal, we have your daily action plan. I said, I want you to be able to fit that in on your busiest, most strenuous day.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can do that on your toughest day, then it's going to be easy to repeat and have that compounding effect on all the days.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do it that way at first. I didn't. I had to learn from that because then I'd get frustrated. I'm a very goal driven person. I'd get frustrated when I missed a goal of daily activities. And I'm like, how can I fix this? Because now I'm beating myself up. And it's not to give up on the goal. I need to adjust the expectations because, see, it's better to run. Let's say if we're running, for example, or so let's talk about phone calls. Let's go to business for a second. It's better if you're working 5 days. It's better to, instead of try to do 50 phone calls a day, okay? 50 phone calls a day, and you only do it 1.5 times the week
Yep.
because it's so many, okay? That's really not, but that's 75. Reduce it down to, I'll do 20 phone calls a day when you could do on any single day times 5 days. That's 100.
Yep.
You're more consistent, your business flows more consistent. If you're a business owner, figure out what moves the needle, what fills the pipeline of work for you, and make sure that's as simple as can be and duplicate that every single day. But the key is to make it simple that you can do on your busiest day.
So I just knew this because I followed this and watched this, but Rob Dyrdek,
Uh-huh.
uh, where you should know him first, is from Freedom Factory,
Yeah.
Mhm.
where him and Big Black had this. I remember as a kid watching it,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, this is amazing, right?
I
Uh,
wanna build one of those
then
areas.
he became to have the show Ridiculousness,
Yeah.
right? Sold it to MTV. He's a crazy
He
entrepreneur.
is.
Crazy entrepreneur. You think of him as silly. He was with DC as a
Yep.
skater, but crazy entrepreneur. In 2020, January 1st, 2020, he started this experiment of tracking everything he did. He calendared everything. When he brushed his teeth, how long it took. He got hyper focused. I'm talking about Matt breaking down statistics, and he calendared everything that he did.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and he very specifically learned a lot of stuff. But what would happen is when they were filming, him and his crew were filming Ridiculousness, they would have to come in. It was a change of pace. They would have to stop what they were doing and go film this. And they would, whether it was MTV or whoever was producing that thing, they would say, "Hey, this, and this, we're gonna meet on these days." And he's like, "Man, what?" And so he started counting. And I don't know how long he did that, but he did it for months to figure out what was taking all of his time. He got in
Mm,
this crazy time goal, and he started to look to see, firstly, track him, show him he wasn't as chaotic as he thought he was, right? He thought it was just astronomical, but instead of dozen of tasks, most days only comprise of like 15 to 20 distinct activities.
Mm.
And so then he started to kind of predict and patternize what was going on. So they would go in and record like, I'm making a number up because I don't have the stat, but it was like 20 episodes in a day.
mm,
And so once they were in that flow state of mind of those 15 to 20 very distinct activities, they could get flowing. Like once
Yep.
they were in the rhythm of it, once you're shooting the hoop and it's making it in, once you're eating healthy and it's working, once you're working out and it's working, just keep rolling.
Yep.
mm,
And he just changed his entire schedule of that. He learned accountability equaled self knowledge. So when he held himself accountable to calendar everything, then he gained self knowledge. He learned time is data, not just appointments.
mm,
So the time was the data to learn what was important, what needed to be countered, and what he was wasting time on,
mm.
right? So that was a big thing of understanding that. And one of the takeaways was a design life versus a reaction to life. He was telling the time what to do
Yep.
after he learned from this, as opposed to reacting to life, what happens to you and how you handle it. Now, you have to have that, your reaction to life, with
Sure.
just what you said on your busiest day of curveballs, but then designing your life of when you're in that flow state
Mhm.
to really knocking out the important things. So when you got in that, so he really changed his entire approach. So he had very limited time
Yep.
early on in his spreadsheet, and that completely changed his tool of existence of how he set that up, time being structured and when you did each item.
I gotta go right off of that because I'm gonna give you another example, but I'm gonna pick right up where you were talking about when he would get into a flow state. Flow states are so important, and we can all relate to this, especially if you come in on your day off or a weekend and nobody knows you're there. How much do you get done?
A lot.
Are you relating to me yet? You're sitting there driving and you're going, dang, I can get some work done when nobody knows I'm there. Well, you're in a flow state and you're uninterrupted.
Yep.
So Alex Hormozy talks a whole lot about this, and he talks about prioritizing flow state time.
Yep.
And he started off by just prioritizing 15 minutes. He's now up to 4 hours of flow state. Now, the way he protects flow state is he backloads his day. So he takes his first appointment set at 4 p.m.
Yep.
and then moves to 3 p.m., 2 p.m. So his best time of the day, the morning time, he's in flow state uninterrupted. Here's why. The statistics shows if you're interrupted, even if somebody comes in to ask you if you want a cup of coffee, if you're interrupted in flow state, it takes anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes to get back into flow state. So if somebody comes into your office and says, hey, boss, I'm just checking,
Just
do you
derails.
want me to go look at XYZ? It interrupts you in flow state, and you've now lost another 30 minutes just to get back into flow state.
To put that into real,
That
just
derails.
into real, and like how do you relate? 'Cause that is real. Think about when something wakes you up.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes how hard it is to get back to sleep,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you know how important sleep is, right?
Sure.
Sleep is so important to recharge your body, let it rest. But if something wakes you up, if it was a kid, bless his sweet little heart, get back in bed, kid.
Yeah.
Lock his door, lock your door.
Yeah.
They're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Some people are gonna hate me for that, whatever. Uh,
Okay.
but think about that, how hard it is to get back to sleep, back to reset, back to recharge, so tomorrow you can be your best for your kid, for little Johnny,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
It's the same thing in the flow state. So it's okay to close your door and realize
Yeah.
the right time, or just put a sheet of paper that says end meeting. Do not disturb is the greatest thing.
Yes.
In our sales meetings, I generally will say, hey, put your phone on do not disturb. I promise, and we've proven this, the fire department will show up if the building's on fire or they think it's on fire.
Yep.
Yep.
You're not a trained firefighter. Don't even think about it, right? Your customer will find somebody else, or they will patiently wait if you've told them how you're going to handle them. And so you can really be in the flow state of learning and adapting. Because if you try to multitask, it's the same thing that said, hey, how fast can you say ABCs? How fast can you count to 26? Now do A1, B2, C3,
Yep.
D4. How long does that take? It takes much longer, like 10 times longer, because your brain just doesn't naturally multitask.
But, naturally, and I can remember being a young leader, it feels good to be wanted and asked questions and under that pressure, and you think you're doing good
Mm.
until you get around people that are at a different level than you and they teach you these
No.
things. So I'm going to give a couple tips here. Number one, let's say you're a small business and you lead a crew and you have a morning meeting to do that. Okay, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever time you get with your crew before you send them out to the job sites, do that. Go over that. But before you make your round to go do your inspections on that, you've let them go. It's 8:15 now. Pour you a big cup of coffee. All right. Lock the front door, put a do not disturb on your office, and give yourself 1 hour
Mhm.
before you go on that loop. See, some of y'all are going on those loops and those inspections in the morning, and you're like, I'll work on my admin stuff when we get done about 3 or 4 o'clock. That's not the best version of you. It's not. So you need to do that. I have a friend of mine who's an entrepreneur, and we were talking about this the other day. I need to share this story. And we were talking about flow state. And he said, Matt, it's funny you bring that up. He goes, I get to work, or I try to get to work
Mhm.
before my other employees so I can have that flow state by the time they're there. And he goes, my son started working with me. And he was coming up manager wise. And I had another manager that was really growing, and they noticed I got there early. So they started getting there early. He said, so then I got there 15 minutes before I knew they would get there. And then they got there early. He said it got all the way to like 4:15 in the morning. And he said, finally, one of them asked me why I got there so early. And he said, I am trying to have an hour of uninterrupted time before anybody comes in here to ask me any questions so I can plan out the day and I'm in flow state. He said, so I'm not being ugly and I'm proud of you guys. You can get here at 2 in the morning if you want to.
Stop.
Do not talk to me until after I've been here for an hour.
So what I would say to learn from that
Yep.
is that was so good, right? You had a leader that was trying to get there. He
Sure.
was not trying to show up at 8, get his stuff done, and kick everyone to the curb.
Correct.
He knew he needed to be present when everyone else was.
That's right.
So he said, let me be early. And then he had young up and coming entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
So they were like, crap, we better get there. Like dad or owner is going to look bad on us. So they kept showing up. what it was missing there was a lack of communication.
That's right.
And he had to wait until they asked. He should have just told them, "Hey guys, I love that you're here. I kind of want to share what I'm doing, and
Mhm.
I'd love for you guys to do the same thing. Let's all go in our own offices, shut our doors,
Yep.
and this has really helped me, and I know it'll help you." So that's what I hear from that,
Mhm.
of like, because he would then like I love being up and at him at 4 or 5 in the morning.
Sure.
He wouldn't have had to be there quite so
Yeah.
early, right? Because then by 3 o'clock he's kind of whipped,
Yeah.
right? They're kind of whipped, and it is good for you, right? You don't need that much sleep, and you can work a lot more than you think you can. But just clear communication in that.
No, I think that's so good. Next, let's jump into why most people fall off and how to maintain the progress.
Mhm.
We've already set the stage. 2 weeks, you beat 80% of
Yep.
people. 4 weeks, you beat 88% of people. But let's talk about when motivation fades and discipline needs to remain.
Yeah, that like motivation is a poster.
Mm.
Motivation is something that you follow on a good Instagram page.
Hmm.
And that's important to have that stuff, the motivation to see a picture of what you used to look like, or a picture of what you want to look like,
Hmm.
right? Or the goal number or the vacation. That's your motivation in my eyes, right? But the discipline is the ugly truth that nobody really wants to see, that the 80 or 90% have given up, and that's when it remains. When over the holidays, people like, and here's the crazy thing I need you to realize. If you don't know me for very long, I used to look a completely different person. I weighed 85 pounds more than I do now, and I had to quickly realize that food was fuel.
Hmm.
Food was fuel, right? And so food has become so much more than fuel in a industry of where they sell the what it looks like
Sure.
and how it tastes and the additives and the sugars. And so then I had to just break it down to chicken and rice,
Yep.
chicken and rice. And if I needed a different flavor, you add mustard to it.
Sure.
Basic and essential. And it became a lifestyle of a discipline. So that when somebody comes by with the sweetest pumpkin pie or the brittle, it was like, okay, I have a high performance engine. That's
Hmm.
me.
Yep.
Even if you're not high performance, you are.
So,
Sure.
You are high performance. You just haven't seen it in your own eyes, and you're putting trash in your gas tank.
Yeah.
mhm.
And if you realize that, because now if I eat something, and I'm not perfect by any means, but 90% of the time I'm very, 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 very strict in what I eat. Because if I go eat something that's been prepared at a restaurant or full of preservatives, it wrecks me. It absolutely wrecks me. And I'm like, I just put diesel in my Ferrari F1 car.
Yeah.
And you know what's even a bigger deal? And Shelby, that's obviously such a great example that you've lived through and worked through. But it's not even really about you.
Mm.
It's about everybody around you that you affect.
Mhm.
If you're a better person, you're a better father to your kids, you're a better husband,
Mhm.
you're a better employer. Like if you take care of you and be the best version of you, it spreads to everybody else. If you're not the best version of you, you're letting them down because then they are not being, they're like, it's okay to slip and to do this, to do that. Here, this came to me about when we were talking about motivation fades. So let's talk about some of the things that are motivating. And these are simple things. Anybody can do this. A song you jam out to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So in the morning before a meeting, you might blare that thing, but you're not going to keep it blaring all day long during your meetings and when you're in your office.
Mm.
It jump starts you. Okay. It's the motivation that gets you going.
Yeah.
A big cup of coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Y'all might think I drink coffee all day long, but I don't. I can't just drink 300 ounces of coffee in a day, okay? It jump starts you, it gets you going.
Yeah.
If you have a vehicle and the battery's dead, you put a jump box on it, and once it gets going, you don't drive around town with the jump box.
Not very often. I've done
Right.
it, but not often.
Not to Dallas, you know what I mean?
No, no,
Maybe to
no.
get in the shop.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are motivating things,
Yep.
and it might come up that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you gotta crank the tunes back up. You gotta go get another cup of coffee.
You need another motivation thing that
Yeah.
pops up to keep the discipline locked in.
That's right. That's right. Because sometimes no different than driving, and you kind of start swerving off. You're like,
Veer
whoa,
off.
let me get back on course.
Yep.
But because the crab doesn't, it's a slow boil. It's always a slow boil.
That's right.
So if you cheat, you're not going to eat a cheeseburger, get on the scale, and weigh 4 pounds more, unless it was a 4 pound cheeseburger. But after you go to the bathroom, you're still going to be
Mm-hmm.
not 4 pounds heavier.
Yep.
So you
That's
have to realize that you're not going to wake up and just sell 200 more cars than you did
That's
last
right.
week. It's going to be one little thing at a time. You're not going to hire 20 more people, any of those things. It's going to be very slow. And the problem is when it gets slippery, when you start falling into that 80 or 90%,
Mhm.
you're going to have an off day and you're going to look quickly in the mirror, quickly look at the stats and say, wasn't so bad. We didn't fall off that hard.
Keeps
And if you don't have the discipline,
Mm,
because I'll tell you this, if we're talking New Year's, new goals, new fitness,
we are.
I've weighed the same amount.
Yeah.
And so I've been this different person going on 12 years.
Mhm.
And I've weighed the same amount within 20 pounds. And I've measured myself at every level
Sure.
that you can, every stand on scale, BMI, every
Oh,
metric. Uh,
Mhm.
and I've weighed the same and had a complete different composition of my body.
yeah.
How much fat mass and how much uh, lean muscle mass, how much water weight. And so you might just quickly take a glance of a day that you slid back. And it's okay to have off days. You'll have them, but the next day you better turn on super strong. And you'll look at the scale, and I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I went home or on the way home because my accountability partners weren't in the car with me. I stopped at Taco Bell and got a triple grande burrito.
Yeah.
And then you're like, the scale didn't slide that much. Well, what you did is you lost a little bit of muscle, gained a little bit of fat. Okay, I only gained 1 pound. You gave up 3 pounds and you gained 2 pounds of fat, right? And so those things are happening there. So when motivation fades, your discipline has to be locked in.
So I think this is important to talk about. We're wound up in here, but there is life.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And none of us are perfect.
Mhm.
And things crap will hit the fan.
Oh, yeah.
It just will.
But when you're disciplined, you're so much better at handling the crap.
You are. And then there's this thing called the 2-day rule. Let me share with y'all the 2-day rule, and you've probably heard it. If you mess up or you slip one day, it's okay.
Mhm.
The most important part is the next day.
Yes.
It's the next day.
Yep.
Because if you go 2 days in a row, you've now created and started a new habit.
Mhm.
One day, okay, I'm human, that messed up. Now, that one day doesn't need to be every other day, okay? But that one day, what's most important is what do you do the next day? Put your shoes back on,
Yep.
pick the phone back up, start calling,
Mhm.
get back on your routine of getting back in your flow state, your protected hour you go through,
Yep.
whatever those activities. And that's why you write it down. So you got a roadmap to go back to.
Be able to look at.
We're all spoiled with navigation on our phone now. But if we made a detour to a gas station when we were heading to California and the gas station was 1 mile off the road, you'd open your map back up and go, are we still going the right direction?
Not a big deal. You don't have to cancel the trip. You don't have to. The biggest thing that I'll tell you, that drives me nuts because I'm just like, I can't say the things that I wanted to say
Sure.
there, but I'm just a stickler to this because I
Yeah.
know it's in your brain somewhere, is that don't say I'm gonna start on Monday. Do not say I'm gonna
It's
start on Monday.
terrible.
And do not say I'm gonna start next month. Next year is gonna be my year. I can tell that you're going to fail.
Yep.
Just start now.
The best time to start a better self was 20 years ago. Same
Yep.
time to plant a tree. The next best time is the only time you have is this
Right
second.
now.
When I decided, and I keep saying this, but it's just real. When I decided, I had a heart issue. Doctors wouldn't tell me I was fat, overweight. They said, "Hey, we need to put a pacemaker in you, and you need to take medicine every single day."
Mm-hmm.
Right? They would not say clearly, Shelby. And I had a kid and was like, "Hey, I need to be in better shape." And so what I did, which someone called wasteful because it was probably $400 at the time. I went and threw away every single thing in my fridge
Yeah.
and in my pantry. I didn't say, "Let me eat the rest of this food, which I've paid for." Like, no, if someone could tell me I could have a better life by paying $400, like, you would
People
spend
do
the
that all
money.
the
You would
time.
buy the as seen on
Yeah.
TV weight
Sorry.
loss jiggle band or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you do it all the time and never even open it. And so it's like you have to be so disciplined that you do it right now. It's
Yeah.
not tomorrow I'm going to start or next Monday or man, next year is going to be my year. Like, you're going to fail and wait for an entire year.
Yeah.
Like, so if you have
Cut
one
that
bad
out.
day, don't quit.
Mhm.
Like, don't give up. Just say, "Hey, tell your accountability partner, I need help. I had an off day. Please don't let it be 2 days."
Yep.
I think what is extremely important to understand too, and I know we've talked about physical and exercise, but we're talking about business too,
Yep.
or saving money, whatever it may be. The same rules apply across the board here, guys. Is that you need to understand This isn't going to be a linear journey, and it's not going to be easy. In fact, here's another quote from you from Frederick Douglass.
Oh,
Okay. If there's no struggle, there's no progress. So at some point in time on your journey, okay, if there's no struggle, if you've made 50 phone calls and nobody answered and you're like, why am I doing this? If there's not a struggle, you're like, I don't have time today to plan out tomorrow. You got to make the time. If there's no struggle, there will be no progress.
there'll be no progress and you won't retain those results. The problem with anyone, whether it's weight loss, whether it's financial, whether it's business, if they get the easy road, they'll always crumble and fail
There was nothing learned.
because it needs to burn bad enough.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to burn bad enough that I worked this hard to get that I lost weight, that I saved money, that I did that to that I never want to go back there. So whenever I have one off day, I'm back on
Yep.
So,
because I realize how hard it was to get there.
as a business owner or someone that's paid based on performance,
Yep.
if you're a manager based on performance, you gotta love that opportunity and that job, but sometimes you just hate it because you're like, could I not just have a steady income? But, if you've had a month where it was off, and we all have, I
Sure.
assure
Oh,
you,
yeah.
and you're like, "Hey, we need to reset," and that's the worst thing you could ever have to do is to tell your family, "We can't do that," or "We can't go out to eat because I didn't make enough money." Like, no person, specifically a man or no person wants to
No.
have to go say that. I didn't work hard enough to be able to provide for my family. Like, think about that. And so instead of being mad at someone who didn't perform or someone changed my pay plan or
Mm-hmm.
mad at the economy or mad at the manufacturer, why did they take my margin away? It is 1000% you of that opportunity that you signed up for and say, here's my scale, here's my system, this is what I signed up for, and I need to make sure that I outwork that so I am never in that situation again.
You know why that's so important to have that attitude? Because you can only control you.
Right?
You can't control anything else.
No.
You can only control you.
Mhm.
I'm going to give you a huge discipline act that happened within our company for decades. I'm not talking about a year. I'm not talking about 2 years. I'm not talking about 10 years. I'm talking about 20 plus years. And we had great mentors. My dad, my uncle, and he got it from my grandfather of decades. They continued to invest the money back in the business,
Mhm.
not taking huge dividends,
Mm-mm.
okay? Not increasing their pay, having a good living,
Yeah, yeah.
but not increasing their pay, not buying planes or vacation homes or any of that stuff. The money stayed in the business, even though we were in a paid off building from 46. Why? Because those small pieces every single month built up to our ability to be where we are right now.
Yep.
It allowed us to open up this 26-acre campus that provides almost 300 people jobs and provides a platform for our business to be successful for generations to come.
What I love about that is the small daily discipline over years. I mean years, 80 years, right? Builds up, and it is not about us.
No.
It's not about our dad and uncle. It's not about our grandfather. And that their selflessness,
Yeah.
their ability to not say, "This is me, we made more money, we should make more money." They said, "No, no, no, reinvest, reinvest." And if you've met my dad or uncle, you would know they're the most giving, humble people in the world. They wanted to say, "Hey, if we grow a little bit more, we get to donate more back to the community
Yep.
and we get to employ more people. That means that they can have a stable living." So because they did that, and it's funny, Taylor was uh at a fishing tournament and
Yeah.
he met this guy. Someone told him, was like, "Hey, this guy owns a CDJR store," and he had this massive boat,
Oh, yeah.
right? Massive boat.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, you should go talk to him." And so then Taylor's buddies was like, "Well, why don't you have a big boat like this?" Like, "We got a Pro 17 aluminum boat, like,
So
and
she's
it was a
parked up.
used one."
Oh, yeah.
And the funniest thing, and so Taylor went and talked to this guy, had a very nice boat, millions and millions of dollars,
Yeah.
right?
I thought
Uh,
100,000 million.
millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, Taylor, why don't you guys have a boat like that?" What did you tell him?
I say, we do. It's currently parked on the side of I-49 at 2479 North College. And he's like, oh, and I
He
pulled
was
it
like, "What
up.
do you mean?
What do you mean? I pulled up
Like
the
your boat is
campus.
physically parked
Yeah, I
there?"
said I had it back in storage. So I pulled up and showed him our campus. He's like, "That is unreal." He
So
said, "That is unreal."
that is the difference between discipline and motivation,
Yep.
right? And you can have your goals. I want to do
Sure.
this and this,
Yeah.
but the Lewis family has had this discipline that is just instilled from us. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying we're special or specific. It's just
No.
we were grown to be basic and simple and work hard and find options to be able to provide for others. And so instead of saying in good years,
Yes.
let's take some more money and then let's go live a lavish lifestyle. Never flown private, never
Yep.
flown first class. Is like, why would we do that when we can reinvest in it? Just because we didn't put value in those things. And if you do, I'm not saying that's wrong. It's just not what we've done. And that's allowed us to be on 26 acres and 150,000 square foot, of which all is air conditioned,
Yep.
state of the art, everything. And
Yep.
we put all of our chips, all of our chips on that
Yep.
to allow us to double our employee growth, to be able to have so much fun, to rent out the entire top floor of
Yep.
Top Golf, to have their whole families there,
Sure.
to see the enjoyment in their faces.
And it's not to brag to say, "See what
Mm-mm.
we've done." It's to share with
We
others
learned that.
opportunities to be able to provide for their family,
Yeah.
and then to make sure also our customers,
Mhm.
they have a top-notch experience, so then we
Yeah.
can grow our business, so then we can give back at even a different level.
Mhm.
But all that, when you peel back the layers, it's no different than you look at a Michael Jordan or you look at a professional player. It wasn't one he didn't make all those shots during warm-up.
Mm.
It was the thousands and thousands of shots he made in the gym when nobody else was there.
Yep.
It's the thousands of times that a dividend we didn't pull out of the business, and we reinvested that in capital and slowly bought this piece of land, leveraged this, move that, and
Yep.
slowly all these pieces came together.
The daily discipline.
It's on the days when you don't want to.
Yeah. If you go into your goal, whatever it is, with the understanding it's gonna be hard. Like, it's not gonna be easy.
It's gotta
I would
scare you.
rather somebody hit me in the teeth right off the bat and I know what's gonna happen, so then I know what I'm getting for, so whenever I have those easy days, because everything's going the way it is, I'm like, "Man, this is great." And then whenever you get hit and blindsided, you're ready for it.
That's right.
And you've
That's
already
so
got your
good.
helmet on and you're ready to go through. It's gonna be hard, and I love that Shelby said that to be scared is not bad. To be scared is actually saying, "Hey, my goal was set high enough. I'm pushing myself far enough." If you're not scared and a little bit uncomfortable, you're not pushed to the level that you need to be.
Your goal's not big enough.
Your
Correct.
goal's not big enough, and it pushes you in the prep. Think about the first time that you've set a goal, and like generally the main event is the victory lap.
Yeah.
That's it.
The main event is the victory lap. The struggles is when no one was watching. I remember training for our first 100-mile race, 100-mile foot race.
Mhm.
Just to put that in context, I don't know what exactly it was, but it's somewhere over 175,000 steps
Yeah.
in a day.
Mhm.
And if you remember, and I know you do, training for that,
Mhm.
there was such a fear of, one, I do not want to step out there and not to be
It's
able to
scary.
complete it.
Yep.
And two, I don't know what's going to come, but I want to be as prepared as I can. And
Yeah.
it was at least a 9-month prep
Yeah.
of every morning not feeling like it before you came to provide as a husband or a father or a leader to a company.
Yep.
You had to get yourself right first. And some mornings it would be, we need to run. I remember we ran this silly, what was that ladder called that we went up and went back down?
Oh, yeah.
You think about what it's called, but on the first day you ran a 5K.
I want to say yes.
The the
It's
the next
no,
day
it's
you ran a
different.
10K,
The Yeti
the
challenge.
Yeti challenge. And this was during April of
COVID.
21, I
No,
think.
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
My yeah, somewhere around there. So first day was 5K, 3.1 miles. Next day was 10K, then 15K, then 20K, then 25K,
Mhm.
then 30K.
Mhm.
So 20 miles.
Yeah.
And our thing was we had to be locked in at work. We had a lot going on. COVID. We just had the largest hailstorm that you can imagine.
Mhm.
And so we did that. And then on that, whatever that final day was, you did 20 miles, and that was before work,
Yep.
right? So that's going to take some time, right? You're going to have to get up early. Well, the next day, you ran it backwards. You ran 20 miles again,
Yeah.
and then you
No,
ran a
it wasn't that. Yeah, yeah.
25K,
Keep
20K,
going. Now keep going.
and
I'll
it
tell you.
kept going. And so you did 5K all the way to 30K,
Mhm.
and then 30K all the way back. It was 2 weeks worth of running a
Gauntlets.
whole lot. And it was just like, oh my gosh, that's so much. And then there was days where we said we need to stack a lot of mileage. And so I remember a Tuesday night Tuesday morning, got up, ran 9 miles. It was just like another day at work. And then Tuesday night, we went out to the Mulberry River
Yep.
and ran 20 miles that night after work, after
Yep.
12 hours of
White
work.
Rock.
White Rock, thank you. And I'm not just telling you this to brag, I'm talking about breaking down discipline. And then Wednesday, we woke up and ran 35 miles. So, and progressively, in less than 24 hours, we'd ran over 60 miles. And it's like, we did not want to show up on game day and not be ready.
Was it the Chuck Norris challenge?
Yes, it was Chuck
Not
Norris.
the Yeti. It was the Chuck.
It
We've
was the
done the
Chuck
Yeti too,
Norris. But what I'm pointing out to say is if it does not scare you, I'm not talking about me at all. I'm just
No.
telling you what we've been a part of.
yeah.
That in the prep, in the dark, before everyone else shows up, if your goal does not scare you, you're not
Pushing far
pushing
enough.
yourself.
Okay, so I'm gonna go in advance. So now let's talk to everybody out there that has been goal setting. Okay, we got to go a little advanced here. Okay, if we
That
have
wasn't
it.
advanced.
Well, no, it was, but we got to talk to people about that have been setting goals. And I was listening to somebody. I wish I could remember who it was last year, and they were talking about this. Um, they were talking about goals and people that have become good at setting goals, and
Mhm.
then they finish that goal. And it's like if you study anybody that's been to the Olympics, what they do after the Olympics. Because for 4 years, they've trained, they've eat, breathe, sleep
Mm-hmm.
that goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then once it's finished, then they're just like, what do I do?
A crazy hangover of lack of belonging.
Yes. Yes. So they talked about your goals need to be checkpoints to a larger accomplishment.
Yep.
All right. And if you look at it that way, like once you get this goal setting stuff down, instead of having these peaks and valleys of like, boom, boom, we knocked that 100 miler out, or I expanded to another location, or I got out of debt, or I moved to 100 units sold, or our business finally hit $1 million in sales. Those need to be checkpoints along the way to continue you moving forward. So
Yep.
you always still have a little bit of that fear.
Mhm.
So that's for the advance. Craig Groeschel went over that last year. And if you haven't checked out his podcast, I'll just say you need to check out his podcast. It's
Yep.
awesome. He talks about those goals need to be checkpoints along your
So
journey
good.
for the overall goal.
Yeah.
Always adjusting as you're moving forward, and that's kind of how you adapt and change that, because a lot of times a goal or something that you're going for has to be changed just a little bit, deviated because of circumstances, continuing to push you where you need to go. But then that next goal after the goal you achieve there can always be changed and adjusted to adapt to either a lifestyle or something else that has changed and happened. So that's so good there.
All right, I got a question for you guys,
Okay.
and this is for each of us. If someone listening wants 2025 to actually be different,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we fired them up.
Okay.
We got them ready to go. But they're like, all right, boss, tell me what to do. What's one thing, just one thing? I know it's going to be tough. One thing they need to focus on starting today.
So I don't know how to just do one thing. I'm not a basic person, but one thing, I'm gonna say you need to look at last year
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
and the goals that you set,
Okay.
and you need to see, did I achieve them or not? And if the answer is yes or no, you need to see why. Right? So my one thing is you need to do a quick reflection
There
on
you go.
a year or a goal that you have set, and you need to bloom an onion, get all the way to the nucleus. Was it lack of accountability? Was it lack of the one day? You made one day, 2 days. What was that? And so you need to look at that, and that needs to become your why for this year's goals.
All right. So
So
Shelby's was
reflection.
you need to evaluate and adjust.
Yes.
You need to evaluate and adjust.
So I'm going to take that, and then I love seeing things written on paper.
Okay.
So I'm going to take my goal out, and if it's financial, you don't realize all the small cuts that make the difference. So I'm going to write it down. Write it down. And normally, if that's something you'll go over with your accountability partner, your spouse, your business partner, whatever it would be, write it down and actually go.
All right, so we're going to evaluate and adjust. Taylor's going to write down the action plan
Yes.
that he needs to do every single day that'll help him get there.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to cap it off here. Find an accountability partner that will call you out.
Love that.
And we all love our moms, okay?
She's not sure.
She's not. I need somebody that'll lovingly, brutally honest call me out.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Goggins does that. He has those check-ins, where he flies and checks
So let me
into
explain
people.
that to you. So David Goggins, Cameron Haynes, both endurance runners for different reasons. And he tells a story about one time Cam Haynes called him, and this is before they were all crazy, ridiculously popular. But he called him and was like, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm this. And he's like, "Hey, tomorrow 0900, I need you to meet me at this spot." He's like, it's Goggins calling him.
Yeah,
He's like, "What's he gonna say?" He's like, "All right, I'll see you there."
Yep.
Didn't tell him what to bring, what they're doing. And he's like, "Oh, crap." It was backwards. Cam had called Goggins.
Yeah.
And he was like, Goggins was not going to tell him no,
Yeah.
right? It was David Goggins. And so he shows up. He's like, "That was a check-in to see, am I holding my standards?" He said, "I had no water. I had no food." And he said he rung my bell for 35 miles. We ran in the desert for 35 miles. He said, "I knew that was a checkup. That was a check-in. Are you
Yep.
staying after it?
Yep.
Are you delivering your best?" He said, "I couldn't be mad at him if I couldn't do it, and I couldn't be mad at anybody else for saying, 'Why didn't you tell me to bring more water?'"
Yep.
Or any water. "Why didn't you tell me to bring any food?" He's like, "That was a check-in from Buddy." He said, "So whatever we did, we suffered our way through it, and then we went our own ways, and that was the accountability partner I needed."
That's the level that you need. Somebody that'll show up on your doorstep, drag you out of bed,
Throw your food away.
and say,
Yeah.
That
let's
is my
go.
favorite thing to do. And some people are like, "You are cold and you're heartless." I said,
Yeah.
add it to the list.
Yeah.
Because your fuel is not what you need.
Bad.
Like, throw that crap away.
So good. It's okay, and it's good to get uncomfortable, to get in situations that challenge you, and your checkpoint is,
Oh, yeah.
okay, you're ready to set the goals. Do they scare you? If they don't scare you or frighten you,
Rev them up.
you need to find a bigger one. Hey, we look forward to a big 2026.
Yep.
Hopefully you've hit subscribe and like. Did you see the kind of energy? We got a whole quarter planned here to help you kick off and to at least beat the 88%. We're going to get you through at least a couple months. Hopefully by that point in time, you created new habits.
Yep.
And it's trickling down in your family, in your business to be a better version of you and everybody you influence. Hey, thanks for joining us today. As always, check us out at lewissuperstore.com, crossroadconversationpodcast.com, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year. Hey, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like, share it with your friends and family. Even visit our website, send us the questions about what you want to know, what you want to hear. Tell us about the automotive industry, family business in general. Who do you want to hear from? Send them our way, and we'll do our best to answer any questions you have. But make sure you tune in next time where we bring in another guest and we talk more about the automotive industry and all the great things going on within our business.